Hello and welcome back to Jesse's Vintage Garage, and here we are. Finally got the head back from being worked on. It's now August 22nd. It's been a long time since this has been back in the building, but here we are ready to work on this. But we're probably not gonna be working on the actual engine and putting the head on or any of that kind of stuff right now. We're going to be in this video where we're at is we're gonna be working on the rear wheel and getting that all going. So I just wanted to show you that I got the head back. And the rear wheel is going to be kind of involved because of all the stuff that's going on with it. I noticed that the backing plate's kind of damaged a little bit. I might be switching one of them out. I have one laying around. What else? We do have tires mounted. We'll look at that. But let's get working on tearing this wheel apart and seeing what we all got to get. Now, it's probably going to be long because of the fact that a period of time throughout the video, because I have to get some parts ordered and stuff yet and see what I'll need. But maybe I'll try to keep it as short as I can though in process. But I wanted to show you the head here. I'm pretty excited about having this. So let's go work on the rear wheel. We're getting ready to put the wheel on the bike here, and we did notice that we got a bad wrong bolt here, and we're missing one over here. It looks like it's broke off in there. And we're going to work on doing that stuff. We did get the new tire put on. We balanced it a little bit. It comes out pretty close, but we're missing some weight here on this bolt. And we have a couple we took the wrapped up solder that was wrapped around these spokes here. Took that off. It's not really common, but I've seen it before, and so was my father there. But we put the actual British type Triumph style wheel weights on here. So we're going to see if we can get these loose and go from there. Here we are, we got the bolts all out. But we got to get this bolt out of there, remaining bolt piece. We got the remaining of the bolt center punched and drilled through the center of it as much as we can. Now we're going to work on getting an easy out and see if we can back it out of there. We did work on the when we were taking this apart. We did notice this is an original. Whoops, spacer fell out. This is original Smith's speedometer drive. It doesn't seem to work. When you go to rotate this part, it doesn't turn the part up here.
Yeah, the gear is stripped inside.
Yeah, so I'll probably be looking for one of these maybe at the Davenport swap meet that's coming up next week. This is like I said on the start of this video, it's still 22nd of August, and it starts next week, and we're probably going to be there, and we are going to be there. We are going to be looking around for parts. I got a whole list of parts to look for. Since I'm always looking for parts, this thing needs a couple things, and we'll be doing that. That video for that will probably come out before this one, so anyway, I'm just mentioning that right now that we're going to be going to do that and look for some things. I think we're looking good here so far, but if we're going to need a drum, we need to find out right now by digging this this bolt out, the remaining bolt part out of here. Hopefully this will be the ticket to get it out. Otherwise, we start working our way out, staggering the sizes of the bits until there ain't nothing left but threads.
They get a socket on it.
So, alright, we're working on seeing if we can get it out of there. It looks like we've got it to move some. And yeah, here it's coming out.
There it is.
Good deal. Alright, do you want to...
We didn't hurt any of the threads.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I thought the threads all looked pretty good in this one.
Well, I mean in that.
And the rest of them. And the one that had a weird head was the correct bolt. Just the head was small.
And it had too much of a shoulder.
Oh. Oh, yeah, look at it. It never was tight to the sprocket. There was a couple loose ones. I didn't show you that, but there was a couple loose ones when we were taking it out, right when we first started taking them out. I'll have to clean this up. The drum surface for the brake doesn't look too bad, and the pads look pretty good. We're gonna probably go in here and explore into this and see what this looks like in here.
Keeps it from backing itself out.
Yeah, it must be something to do with that. but this is really tight. It's all tight. This bearing feels really good. So
we'll put some fresh grease in there.
We're gonna tighten this up, not too tight, but yeah, like I said, fresh grease, and then we should be good to go. Yeah, then looks like I gotta get some bolts for this. These are 26 thread, quarter 26, and they're special bolts.
The ones that are in here are just all messy. We just put a new set in it and maybe a new sprocket.
Yeah, well, it's the part number for this is 37-1500. It's kind of a little harder to find, but they're available out there. And it has a lock washer too in the print. So anyway, we'll get this all back together and go on to something else here. We're gonna work on cleaning this up. I'm gonna be probably looking for, like I talked about a little while ago, looking for one of these. These, I don't know. He would.
Smiths don't make them.
Yeah, Smiths. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, there's some new ones made by Amgo, and they're just kind of like not great either. And then these, they last so long and then they wear out. You're supposed to grease them all the time. And obviously this one looks like it has grease, but it probably wasn't because it's all stripped out inside. And that's kind of common because the materials they use to make these speedometer drives with. So we got a couple laying around, but they're not the right ones for this bike.
And you pop them apart. What happens is, it's not this gear. This gear here wears out. Just a minute. As you can see, the grease is all dried up and it's all grungy in here. See, it took out the teeth on this gear.
Yeah, because the worm gear looks like it was, pretty good.
And if we knock out these little rivets and then you pull this ring gear out, you'll see that there'll be a half moon, all the teeth will be gone. And it's because this one is good. And this one normally never wears out. It's the other one that always wears out.
Might have some bad spots. I don't know.
That's junk in it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've taken them apart. Used to be able to find, make old ones into new ones or good ones again if you can find some. But yeah, it's a lot of work. It's easier to find a good one. But somebody didn't clean this obviously in a very long time. See, this is all dried out. It's just.
That's bad.
Yep. No good.
All right, well, let's see what we can do to find one of them. We need one of them. Started taking the brake apart a little bit here. Took the old spring off. I got a replacement here, a nice shiny one. I got most of the brake stuff all laid here. Kind of laying out in a certain order. Got the axle, or the spindle, they call it in the book. Each end's different. One end has like a longer section of threads than the other end. The longer section goes towards the end with the speedometer drive. I got some new axle nuts that I got a while back, sitting here from the last time I ordered from Feekt. I'd like to get a lot of my stuff from Feekt, Bonneville shop. I think I said Feekt right. It's either Feekt or Fact. People say it differently. I say Feekt. It's in Britain. It's probably said the other way. But there's other places like Steadfast Cycles, CBS, Classic British Supply. So I kind of shop around to all them different places. But when I'm shopping around, I'm making sure that I'm getting a good deal at the best place with shipping and how that lays out. And if they have all the parts that I'm looking for. And sometimes I gotta buy from multiple places at once because they don't have part of this part, but this place does, but they don't have the other one, and so on. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not the only one that had to deal with something like that. So anyways, got a new nut here for the stay and the lock washer. And this plate, I believe I got it from the Davenport swap meet. last year. I just didn't take a picture of it or talk about it, but I was going to use it for something coming up. I know that the 68 probably would have needed it because I saw right away it was like that. I'm like, oh, let's pick that up. You never know when I might need it. This is a correct one for 69 and older because it has 26 thread on this here. Could have ran this, but it's just kind of got some damage here. It's separating right here. You can see the crack in between there. That means the water would get in there or whatever. And this is all bent over. I'd have to bend it straight back out. There's material missing, and this other side over here is dented also. So I just thought it'd be good just to replace it with this one. Yeah, otherwise the stuff inside of it, it's pretty good. It's all there. The shoes are low on life, but they're good for now. I think I'll just run them like this. And these shoes actually date back from the 40s all the way to this 70 style rear brake. The drum is in really good shape. I just got to clean it up a little bit more. And I'm waiting on an order from Feet right now that has my rear sprocket from LF Harris and new bolts and lock washers. They call it a special washer. Anyways, it's a lock washer in a way. It's like a serrated, yeah, that's what it is. Serrated lock washers. So that's what's supposed to be there. I don't remember seeing any of them with that when we were taking it apart. So that'll be nice. And I got a new one of these nuts coming. And I'll put that together. So for part numbers and stuff, I know that this backing plate is available. And they got all the different ones. There's only a couple different ones. But they're available at Bonneville shop. And they're pretty good price. I can't tell for sure if this is a replica or if it's the real deal, but it looks like it's been repainted on how the paint looks compared to, and I mean, it's hard to say. But anyways, it looks really good. It looks identical to this other than the damage here. Anyways, this part number in the 68 book is called W1112. Here it is right here. Brake anchor plate. Now, in 73, they changed their way that their part numbers are going. They changed it to an all-number system from this style. So, and when you go looking up parts, it's easier to have the current, the all-number part instead of this with the W in front. Now, the W would be considered as 37, and then it'd be 1112. Now, I have a chart for that. I'll add it after this segment here, and you can go ahead and like screenshot or whatever you want to do to have it for your reference. But it really comes in handy, especially when you're working on a 73 and older bike. So I want to make sure I mentioned that. So let's get working on this stuff. I think this is a reproduction backing plate, anchor plate, because this hole here for the axle is supposed to be 13/16 about. That way the 3/4 inch axle can go into it. And this is just under 3/4 of an inch. I just found out when I was trying to put the axle in and test it. And I can't get it to go in. So it needs to be a little bit bigger. I don't know what's going on with this or why, because all these backing plates from 68 to 69, both in the 500s and Trident and this Bonneville, they all have the same part number, W1112 or 37-1112. 70 it changed because of the thread on this, but both the 650 and the 70, the Trident in 70 take the same backing plate also, and same axles, spindles. So it's just bizarre. So be on the lookout for that when you get a reproduction one, or buy one from a swap meet. You don't know what it is offhand. It just looks the same. Here we are. We're ready to do the next step. This backing plate was a reproduction because it didn't measure right. This hole wasn't even 3/4, so I couldn't get the axle to go in, remember? So anyway, we got it bored out now. It was measuring at 23/30 seconds, and we got it bored out to 25/30 seconds. That gives us enough clearance for 3/4 inch plus a 32nd or more free play so we can get past the step here in the axle. I don't know why they made this backing plate like they did, but it clearly wouldn't work in a 68 Bonneville, even though it said it would. Anything from 60 to 68 or 69. And then 70, we talked about the different threads here on this. So anyway, now we're exactly like this one over here pretty much. And we'll be able to, of course, get the axle in and use this in the bike. I don't think I mentioned that this is the same plate that would have been used in 70 also, except for they changed it in 70. That's why I didn't really mention it, I don't think, earlier. But I thought I should throw it in here in this video. Just happen to remember that as I'm going along here, getting ready to finish this up. Anyways, this stud here in 1970 changed to 7/16 20. I mean, it was always 7/16, but it was 26 thread, 69, 60 to 69, I should say that. And then in 70, they changed it to 20 threads per inch. Otherwise, this will still work if it was a 70 and it had to set to 20 threads per inch, but I gotta make sure I put the right nut on here. It would tighten down anyway. But someone later down the road goes to work on this and knows that they're working on 68, and all of a sudden they come across a weird threaded thing. They'd be, you know what I'm saying? They'd come across it and be like, what's going on? So, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, like I said long before in other videos, there's all kinds of different threads riddled throughout this bike. So, yeah. So, anyways, let's get ready to flip this over and finish putting this together and get this rear wheel finished up. Well, here's my feet order. I got it in, and we're ready to actually go on to the, finish this up now. But anyways, here's the one nut, the skinnier nut that holds the speedometer drive down. Replacement, nice shiny new one. And here's those special bolts, special small head bolts for the sprocket and the serrated lock washers there by LF Harris. And this sprocket is a 46 tooth. I think that's the only one they make. They don't make a smaller one or a larger one because the way it's designed, from what I can tell. But anyways, this is also an LF Harris. It doesn't say made in England on it or anything like I thought it was gonna, but that's okay. But otherwise, that's what the description said when I bought it. It was an LF Harris sprocket, so it should be a good one. So we'll see how that goes. So anyways, we're gonna finish this up now finally. Got the hole here for the brake cam greased up just a little bit, and I got this greased up a little bit, and we slide it through. And what I need to do is we need to figure out which one's the leading shoe and which one's the trailing shoe. So now there's a couple ways we can do this. I'm gonna lay this out just like kind of like the parts book shows right here. So we got the stay at the bottom, the lever, the cam actuator here over to the rear, and then the pivot thing here this way. In the book here, it talks about the two different shoes. It's got a number 25 for this shoe and number 26 for this shoe. It also explains in the parts book here, leading brake shoe with lining, trailing brake shoe with lining. Also these this is an original set, so, and it's a good thing that they're in good shape, because I'm not sure if the aftermarket one shows this or not, but this one here talks about the part number, and there's a T there, that means trailing. And then we flip this one over, and this one here is different part number, and it says L for leading. So we gotta make sure that the leading one goes in the right spot, and the trailing goes in the right spot. And I got the springs hooked up, and we can slide them on as a group. But anyways, the leading shoe is number 25, and that happens to be the top one here in correlation with how this is laid out. So I'm gonna make sure that the L is on this side, so on the top side here when I go to flip it over. So this is exactly leading. It needs to be set just like this. See what I'm saying? This would be the top, leading, just like the parts book, and trailing. So I'm going to do that real quick. There we go. I slid it apart, pop this down under here and then pull this up a little bit and popped it back down through here on this like that. And this one here is the T, and the trailing edge or trailing shoe goes towards the stay side. Remember that? And anyway, so that's how that's set up. So now we can flip it back over and start working on the actuating lever. I'm getting ready to install this cam actuating lever, and it's bent a couple spots. It's not exactly flat, so it kind of tapers like that. So when it's sitting like this end here needs to be towards the backing plate and inward. That's what I'm trying to say. So like this here, like this, inwards. So it'd be closer here. You don't want to flip it over because the square part ends up lining up differently and it's outward. And you don't want it outward, you want it inward. Alright, I'm going to put this on now. This part's a little bit more tricky. The spring goes on first, and it hooks into that hole there, and we have to put some pressure on it to get it to spring back around to hold the lever in the right position. So it needs to be up towards the top a little bit, like this, like so. So that way when it's in there, then that rod comes across, it can pull here. If we put that in the wrong spot, we'll have to come back and move it, but because if we put it way over here, there's no way that that rod would ever reach there, and same with this direction. It's nice that it's squared like this so you can get it in the right way. Oh, so see what I'm saying? So I'm going to need two hands to do that, and we'll come back and we'll get to this point here. Otherwise, it just goes on like so, and we slide a washer on, and then we put our half nut, or S21 or S1-52 true half nut that goes on here. Because if you would, sometimes when you go places and buy the S1-52s, they end up giving you the thicker one, which is actually a different part number. And this is what the thicker one looks like in comparison. So a true half nut goes on this. That way you have room to get your grease gun on here and grease this fitting. So otherwise, if we would put the wrong nut on there, the full one, it'd never clear, and you wouldn't be able to get your grease fitting or your grease gun on that fitting. So yeah, so anyways, we'll get this knocked out real quick here and then move on to the drum and stuff. Alright, so this was the original spring. It's kind of rough looking, but it is made a little bit different than the last spring, the new spring here. This new spring has a little bit more leverage because it's out here farther, and it's got the same amount of coils. It's just a little bit stronger. That might be a good thing because it's under load, so it's wanting to pull it back so it gets off the brake drum, and that doesn't just stay on the brake drum or whatever. That way you can, yeah, have your brake come off instead of like riding the brake all the time. I got this tight, this S1-52, I mentioned that earlier. This is the correct nut. It actually is a Whitworth nut on the outside, and it's 26 thread half nut, like I mentioned before, and 5/16 Whitworth tightens that up properly. Because American Standard would be the closest one to that would be 5/8, and it's too loose. You gotta watch that for these nuts and all the fittings and all the hardware on these bikes, because sometimes it's standard and sometimes it's Whitworth, and if you don't use a proper tool, you end up damaging the nut or not. It messes up the finish and everything, and it doesn't quite like go together properly. You'll be better off just using the correct tool if you can find the right wrench to fit the right nut, right bolt. Okay, so I got this pretty much all ready to go. There's a couple other parts here. Actually, on the shoes, it mentions it a couple other times. There's a T right there. That's the trailing shoe. And then the top one here, it shows the leading. It's an L here for the leading shoe. So it mentions it a couple different times. It's easier to see on these ends. So unlike the one when I was showing you next to the part number. But anyway, this is ready to go together now into the drum. Got the drum all ready to go here. It's all cleaned up. I didn't repaint it and I got all the grime off it as much as I could. And the hub, the paint on both these, the drum and the hub, they're really good shape. So I'm just gonna leave it as is, like original or ish. I don't think it's ever been repainted, from what I can tell. The sprocket's ready to go here. We're gonna put it to where it says 46 outward, so you can see it. And I got the special small-headed bolt sitting here. That was 37-1500 on that bolt for the part number, and it was I believe it was 70-1612 for that special lock washer, serrated lock washer. Here we are, got it all lined up, ready to go. We got 46 sticking out so you can see it, 46 teeth. Alright, so I'm going to work on getting some Loctite on these bolts here and start putting them in one at a time. I'm going to tighten them up in a pattern, that way they don't, like, for some reason they don't, like, come down straight and true. That way they don't get tweaked a little bit. I'll work on putting these all in, and then we'll come back and tighten them all up. But otherwise, I got all got them all with Loctite on them here, ready to go in. Just do a crisscross pattern here so they come down together uniformly. Knock this out quick and then do the final tight, and we'll go from there. Alright, these bolts are known for backing themselves out, and they do in fact come from the factory with a serrated lock washer, but that isn't enough. So we put blue Loctite on also, and we're going to torque it down to 100 inch-pounds and go from there. And this head is a 3/8, and you got to have a really thin wall to get past this drum. And see, that's another one of them bolts that's not Whitworth, it's American Standard 3/8. So we're going to finish torquing these all down at 100 inch-pounds. And then put the drum in. Or put the the backing plate with the shoes in. I'm sorry. So we did tighten it up in the pattern. He's just running around in a circle now to make sure he's got them all. And then we got to make sure we put this spacer in here. This special spacer, the stepped edge goes towards the bearing, and then the outer edge goes towards the backing plate. This gives the correct distance for the backing plate to sit when he gets all tightened up. After running around and getting them all set at the 100 there, he's gonna go back and bump them up to 120,
which is 10 foot-pounds.
Which ends up being 10 foot-pounds total. We should be good there. We don't want them backing out. We don't want them to break either, so we don't want to go too much on this. So
yeah, these don't have a marking on it like they're grade 5 or grade 8.
Yeah, they're just a plain head, so grade soft. But yeah, some bolts are that way. I mean, the materials makes a big difference. But then again, we're going to a cast, so that also is important too. Okay, there we go.
Got them all. I'm not getting anything else out.
Okay, perfect. All right, there we are. Perfect, in a way. All right, so I guess this kind of concludes the rear wheel segment here. This is it. It's complete, ready to go on the bike. Then we got to do got to work on the speedometer drive yet. I think we're going to rebuild it. Yeah, it is what it is. But look out for that video. It's coming up, and then we'll work on putting the axle and stuff all together, and we'll go over that stuff when we get ready to mount this to the bike. Well, finishing up the rear wheel video here completely now. We just showing that the axles does go in after we modified this reproduction backing plate to make it fit. And hope you enjoyed everything on this video. It was pretty fun working on these these wheels and stuff. So I hope to see you again soon.